Showing it's 4:30 and call the meeting to order. Angie, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Bailey.
Here.
Commissioner Bunting. Commissioner Lumberman.
Here.
Commissioner Murphy.
Here.
Commissioner Smith is in Florida.
All righty. John, could you lead us in prayer tonight?
Heavenly Father, we ask that you would bless us and guide us as we make decisions for Gratiot County. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Anyone have anything to add to the agenda? I haven't heard of any.
I was gonna add situation, but I think I'll add it on to the treasurer's report instead.
Okay, you'll discuss it then. All right. Anyone have anything else?
Mr. Chair, I would ask that item K2, the plaster and paint projects, be carried to the meeting, next meeting, December 6th. Angie, if you can just carry that, that would be great. Same materials. I'm checking references and haven't heard back from all the references. Something about hunting season.
Yeah, something,
Yeah,
rumor has it there's
rumor has it. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll bring that back to you.
The world's largest standing army is in the woods today. Of course, they need to be in Alma to take care of our deer, but they can't. All righty. So we're deleting K2.
Correct.
Anyone have anything else?
move the agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. Okay, next, brief public comment. Any members of the public wish to address the board?
I would share a brief update on the project.
Come forward, please.
Hello, Fred Short here with Invenergy on behalf of the Heartland Farms Wind Project, which is currently under construction in Gratiot County. Just to share a brief update with the commissioners and the public. We have now cut all 29 access roads, which are within the jurisdiction of the county. 27 in Newark Township and the other 2 in North Star Township. There are still a few that are being stoned, so they're laying the gravel down, but they have done all of the earthwork on the access roads for those locations. And across the project, they have cut in 67 roads. One more that we've approval for right now is being recut on a mucky area over in New Haven Township and sunk one of the trucks up there. But they are recutting that and everything has been going very well on the construction front. We haven't had any incidents or accidents. Everyone has been working safely, which has been great. Other than that, we are getting ready to start the delivery of turbine components as soon as this week, weather permitting. They are watching that very closely, but they will be delivering turbine components to site over the next few months in anticipation of being able to erect the turbines next spring after frost laws lift. So we will have not construction activity necessarily throughout the winter, but there will be some trucks coming in on our road use agreement. You can see those project roads that they'll be delivering on. But that is most of the extent of what will be happening over this winter. And then the cranes will come next spring once frost laws lift, and that's when they're going to start the turbine erection. Happy to answer any questions that folks may have, but that's more or less where the project stands at this time.
Fred, did you find a good contractor for your cement yet?
We are still working to finalize the contract for the cement. When we first started talking to you all about this project, we were hoping to do the foundations this fall as well. We were unable to do so because over the past few months, we were unable to find a contractor here in Gratiot County where we started. Then we zoomed out to Michigan, and then we zoomed out to Indiana, Illinois, Ohio.
no one was able to supply the cement that we needed to build these foundations. For reference, it is up to 100 concrete trucks per base of turbine. So it is a substantial amount of materials that they need. We've been in discussion with contractors and are feeling very good about having locked in by the spring. But that's kind of what changed our sequence of event here a bit to doing all of the access roads and deliveries this year. And then starting the foundations and erection next year, and are still on target to be operational by December of next year. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online, or do you want to address this?
Any questions on that
On
windmill thing?
no. You could probably talk with the gentleman. He could answer any question you'd want, but it wouldn't be part of the board's action.
Yeah, but aren't you approving the budget for the project?
Have nothing to do with it.
Then why is he coming before you?
He's given us a update on what's going on that's already been approved.
Well, what are you doing with the update and why does he have to update you?
He just wants to do it.
I think he's just keeping us informed of the project.
But why if you don't do anything with it or have no say over it?
It's just informational. We've already approved it, ma'am.
The only people that has a say over is the townships. He deals with the townships. And that's the reason he comes in and just lets us know what's going on in the county as a whole.
All righty. Matt, Chris, you see it? Matt, do you see anybody online?
Nope, I don't see anybody connected in right now.
Okay, great. Let's move on. We have the consent calendar. Anybody like to pull anything out? Or we're looking for
Consent calendar.
motion by Commissioner Bailey. We have a second.
Second
By Commissioner
Just have a quick question.
Bell.
Angie, I was looking at those Michigan Department of Agriculture letters. Was one from a wrong county that was sent to Gratiot County by mistake?
We didn't notice that.
Yeah. Okay.
When they send them to me, I just save them and attach.
Okay. I was just curious because I was like, what are we doing?
Because I know that sometimes there's double. I know that sometimes like, especially is it about the 127? So Clinton County's getting it probably, and we are getting it.
Okay.
Because does that have to do with the Maple River flats? Because they're redoing that bridge.
No, I gotta go look at it again. I'll just.
Yeah.
Because it might have two counties on it. It might be us and them.
It's really correspondence once again for us.
These were both manure letters, and the one was to Mendon, Michigan, a gentleman in Mendon, Michigan. And I didn't know where Mendon, Michigan was.
Is the property though, and maybe he lives there, but the property is in.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Okay.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Right, any other questions? Then we have a motion to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, aye. Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. Tracy, you're up with the administrator's report.
Yes, thank you. I would point out that Commissioner Smith is zoomed in. He's listening to the meeting. He understands that he cannot participate, but he does want to listen to be aware. So just pointing that out to you. Included in the packet are a handful of department reports. Those are attached for your review at your leisure. Also, let's see, it's been a while since I've gotten the department heads together. So I've scheduled a meeting of department heads for Wednesday, November 30th at 3 p.m. in this room. These are an opportunity for the administration team to report out to others, for others to report to one another of what's going on in their department. So it's informational and there's some cross-pollination that goes on. And I don't call them super often because although they are incredibly entertaining and enjoyable, people seem to think that they don't always want to come to our meetings, but we do have one scheduled and want to do that before we get too lost in the holidays. We have an awful lot of facilities projects that are in various phases of processing. The basement floor project, we're scraping up that potentially moldy flooring. That's done. We may have to do something with the walls at some point to control some moisture issues, but meanwhile, all the boxes and files have been put back into place. So the 2 file rooms are fully functional at this point. I think they did quite a good job. So thank you for allowing us to complete that project. The very large building facade project is completed. The equipment has been moved out of here. Last week, Tuesday, Tony had reported to me that they expected to be done with that project by the end of last week or early this week. And indeed, they seem to be finished. Now, Tony is away this week, that hunting business. So he hasn't been available to inspect the work or to create a punch list. I'm sure to do that when he gets back, if there's anything for the punch list. We have, I had already taken this issue off the agenda, but by way of additional explanation, we have bids for the plaster and paint project. That's plastering and painting the rotunda, certain areas in the rotunda and in the circuit court courtroom, and also getting the probation courtroom done. I expect to present our recommendations to you at the last meeting. As I said, I was not able to reach the references that were provided by the vendor. So that's just to hold that over for one more meeting. We do have 2 bids on the health department project. Feeling pretty good about that. Our project engineer, Aaron Wosak, though, is recommending that we have an interview, at least with the low bidder, and just make sure that we're all understanding what the project is, what the bid covers, and so forth. So I'll be setting that up for next week. Small item with the tractor purchase that you've approved. I'll be talking with you about that later in the meeting. The airport, I have no update on that issue other than to say that I was at a lunch meeting last Wednesday. Eric Ripley was also in attendance, and he could confirm for me that the letter that John, you signed, and Sam signed has been distributed to the full commission, all the commissioners. So that has been distributed as we hoped that it would be. Sheila posted the position previously held by Kaylin Lombard, the procurement, contracts, property, COA, accounting, kitchen sink, upper cupboard, spices, canned goods. We received 0. This just, I'm looking. Anyway, we received 0 applications for that. So we're examining this and considering future steps. We may be back in front of you about that.
How long has it been posted? How long was it out there?
Oh, it's been out there. Kaylin left mid-October, the 19th, I'm thinking, that Kaylin left. It was posted immediately. And it was up for either 2 weeks, probably 3 weeks, and nothing, not a 0. So and we do a pretty good distribution of those things. So we're just going to have to take a look at that. So the holidays are coming up, believe it or not. In the past, now somewhat distant past, we've provided a luncheon for all staff. Then along came COVID, so we've done it a bit differently these last couple of years. And what we've done is we've provided to each staff person a letter of thanks and acknowledgements of service for those that are due service awards. We also provide a gift certificate, $10 gift certificate. Purchased through the Chamber of Commerce. And folks can use that at any business in the county that is a chamber member. We're looking to do that again this year. I think staff have been pretty happy with that. And so we've already got work underway on that. So getting a head start on that. Chris is going to bring you everything financial and budget later in the meeting. So that's really thank you.
All righty, thank you. Any questions for Tracy? Ready? Let's move on to commissioners' reports. John?
The only report I have is the Parks and Rec Committee had a resignation. And together with the untimely passing of Carolyn Ross, we're shy 2 spots. We're going to need somebody in there just to make sure we always have a quorum at meetings to do business. And I have a Parks and Rec meeting tomorrow night, so I'll find out more about that. That's all I got.
Thank you, John. George?
Well, let's see, I've been busy. I've been to Hamilton Township, North Star Township, Lafayette Township. They're all reporting larger than normal voting. In other words, up to 2/3 the amount of registered voters. And that's really unheard of in what I call an odd year. So a lot of people wanted to get out the vote. I think a lot of people in mid-Michigan have voted and spoke, but it is what it is. But that's all I've got.
All right, George. I don't have anything. Jan?
Yes, I've been to Michigan Worth in Midland. That was kind of a long meeting. And also been to Breckenridge to a meeting there. And MMR, we were there too, George.
Yeah, forgot about
We had a
that.
meeting this week with MMR. They are still looking to put more people on, but it's going much better than what it has. Very, very busy in the community. Running, so they have Shawasee, Gratiot, Isabel County, and Clare. Hey, Brent. Can't think of his last name.
Hanson, yeah.
Brett Hanson. So anyway, they're just very busy all the time. By the way, the last 2 days, ambulances have been going out a lot in St. Louis. A couple times Sunday and once yesterday, and so there's a lot of activity going on. One of the things that they talked about is the overdose of drugs. That people are overdosing and they try to get there to save their life.
All righty. Thanks, Jan. Righty, let's move on to new business. We have the contract here. Handling that, Tracy.
I'll take that. It's time again to look at renewal of our contract with Bill Leonard. Bill works in our Department of Community Development. He's also the fellow who wears many hats. Bill is our blight eradication officer, our zoning administrator, our soil erosion officer, and he's also fully certified as a building official. So does some building inspections as well. We're incredibly fortunate to have not one, but 2 fully certified building officials in this county. I should actually whisper that because people will try to poach them. But so Bill's contract appears before you. It's in the packet. I'm quite sure it is exactly the same as last year with 2 exceptions. One somewhere, I'm sure the dates were changed to reflect that it's the contract period. And this is retro back to
October 1st.
October 1st, yeah, the new fiscal year. The second difference is in Article 6 on page 4. I'm recommending to you an increase of 68 cents per hour. This represents a 4% increase over last year, which is what you had provided to other employees. So that is the only difference, moving his salary, his compensation from $17 to $17.68 per hour. For what he does. We're very lucky to have him. So I'm asking for your approval.
I have a couple of questions on it. We're paying him to do the blight inspection too.
Blight eradication in the contract. And as I said, blight eradication, zoning administration, soil erosion, and he's a fully certified building official, so can do inspections of our buildings.
So does some of the money to give him a raise, would that come out of the blight money that we charge for that?
It all comes out of that. Yes. So for the time he spends on, so a certain percentage of his time is paid from the permit application fees paid for applications for soil erosion permits. That his time for blight comes out of the payments by the communities for blight. Building official from the fees paid for building permit applications and so forth. So yeah, this is fee-based compensation.
Okay, another thing too, I don't remember reading it. How many hours does he work? Does he work a 40-hour week?
No, he's part-time. It's up to 29 hours as I recall.
29 hours.
Yeah.
Page 4. Any other questions?
I'd move that we contract.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead, George.
I'm reading it here. We've been doing this year after year after year.
Mhm.
I would move, or I would like to also discuss lengthening that contract to at least 2 years minimum, if not 3, because it's just one of those things that are like contracts. We don't like to take them up, but every year is the guy's, still working. He's not going to go nowhere. But I just think it's a meaner way to do it.
So he'll make 1768 for the next 3 years.
No. It doesn't say that. We're entering into a contract for 2 or 3 years, depending on what you'd like to do. But the wording doesn't ever change. It's always the same. And salary benefits are always taken up on a regular yearly basis, if you will. We give everybody that has the union, we give that same thing to the staff, and that's just one of those things that's going to be moved forward.
But as a contract, George, you're actually specifying the wage.
Yeah.
Aren't we?
Well, everybody's wage is specified.
There are 2 ways you could do this if I'm the interject. 2 ways you could do it. You could decide what the compensation, what you would have the compensation be. Let's assume a 2-year contract, what the increase would be in the second year of the contract. Or you can indicate that it's a 2-year contract, but at the beginning of year 2, you'll set the compensation. So you do it that way.
Or you could spell it out that it's the same increase as the rest of the staff.
You could, and
And then it wouldn't have to come back at all.
Right.
I don't want to make it too complicated, but one year we had an issue where the 2 unions had negotiated different rates. And so we had to talk about who gets what. So that is why I might suggest that it be compensation to be examined in the second year of the contract. Am I clear what I mean?
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to keep them from having to come back to the board all the time to lengthen the contract.
If the board would like to do that, what I might suggest, because Bill might want to have a say in this as well. What I might suggest is if you could approve tonight.
Yeah.
The contract at least for 1 year and or approve the increase retroactive to October 1 for $17.68. I can communicate with Bill Leonard, then bring this back.
Okay.
With an amended contract, if indeed 2 or 3 year is your wish.
I don't have a problem with that. I just thought it was easier housekeeping as far as I.
So in effect,
I don't mind going 2 years either, but because he works part-time, he doesn't, what other benefits does he get? I can't remember.
Doesn't get any.
So I don't mind, I feel the same way with George. Just make it 2 years and.
well, then I think Tracy has a good point that we should communicate with.
Yeah, I think we prove it tonight.
Yeah.
They can come back with a recommendation and we can always alter it.
So that's actually the motion on the floor. It's simply,
Floor stays as given.
yeah.
With it being retroactive back.
Oh, yeah. The
To
retroactive.
October.
Well, that's
That's in the agreement.
That's what, yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. So So next, we're up to unfinished business and the tractor situation with the radio.
Just a moment.
All righty.
The tractor situation, after the last meeting, at which you had approved the purchase of the tractor at a certain rate. Our representative at Hudson, John Deere, set out looking for the tractor that we were looking for. You know, supplies are such that these things are not just sitting on lots, but he has a line on where the things are. And there was one that became available. The drawback is it had a radio in it, and I had indicated when we were creating our wish list that no, we don't need a radio. The tractor had a radio in it. I spoke with our Matt, our representative, and asked, look, we didn't want this radio, so can you either take it out or can you just knock the price of the radio off? It's not a feature we want. This apparently was a John Deere thing, and no, they could do that. So the options available were to either take this tractor and pay the additional $428.40, or say no to this tractor and wait and for an indeterminate amount of time for another tractor that more closely met our specifications to come along. This was a time of the essence situation. Because if we didn't take this tractor, we would risk losing it, because this happened the day or two after you approved it. So it would have been another 2+ weeks. I sent out an email to you folks explaining the situation, asking if you would be willing through a vote electronically email to approve the additional cost. And again, that was $128.40. 4 of you voted yes, go ahead, some with gritted teeth and a little bit of a growl. But I bring it up here simply because done in that way, it's just not something we do. Well, we do it rarely, but because the public didn't have an opportunity to hear about that, to be aware of that situation, and also to ensure that we've met all the requirements for, technically all the requirements for approval. I've asked that this be brought for your ratification of your vote of the additional $428.40. So I'm asking for that motion to approve that additional cost of the tractor for the radio.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Lumberman. We have a second. Support by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion?
Yeah, I never asked before, but is this just AM FM? An AM FM radio, or is it a two-way radio, or what?
Oddly, at the time, I just didn't think to dig into the specifications of that radio. I have no idea. I just, we didn't need a radio. I was thinking that, that we're going out there and, just really cooking these things out. So I just don't even know, John. It's a 428.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vehicle radios.
Yeah.
$428 isn't what it used to be.
No, but you got a little coffee for that, right?
Yeah.
So it is, so.
All righty. Any other questions or discussion? And all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passed.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
So, next, we would be moving to the finance meeting. I need a motion to move to that.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey. We have a
Second.
second by Commissioner Bunting. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay. John, go ahead.
We'll call this meeting to order. Does anybody need to take a recess, or?
I hope not.
All right.
Be good.
John, I'd like to add on to this agenda. An issue with taxes from the church office.
Okay.
So this treasurer's report, maybe we could put it there.
Do we need a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, Mr. Oosterhoff.
Starting with the finance director's report, drain payments for the fiscal year so far. We've approved 0. I did just get 3 projects on my desk today, drain projects that were starting up. One of them I sent back for them to double check the figures, but for the other 2, the prepayments totaled approximately $65,000. I did not have time to find out what the financing for those would look like. I'm sure that you are interested in what the bank rates, the borrowing rate for that would be. So I'm assuming you would prefer that I get those borrowing rates before we would make any decision.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, very good.
And also, is Bernie Barnes going to be on tonight to talk?
I do not believe so.
Oh,
I didn't see any about that.
Check real quick. No, he's not online right now. That's all I can tell you. As far as the ARP funds, again, the total amount earmarked that we received, which is 100% of what we received, is $7.9 million. The total that has been spent is at $2.8 million, and we actually just sent out another payment to the Ashley Fire Authority today for their portion for $76,000 that was approved for fire fighting equipment. And what they did with that is they used it as a down payment for a new water tank. So Ashley Fire Authority has moved ahead with their portion of what was allotted to the area fire authorities. Since the last meeting, we have sent out the annual allotment to CASA for the fiscal year from October, starting October of 2022 through September of 2023. I spent a lot of time working with them to get their financial review documented for the last fiscal year before this allotment went out to them, so that we made sure that all the finances were in order and would meet for our audit that will be coming up later this year, beginning of next calendar year. So, and the other major distribution we had from our ARP fund was the first distribution for the Hero Center. That amount, I'm working with the treasurer that is on the board for the Hero Center. And we are distributing their funds on a quarterly basis. Because it is a new nonprofit, we are monitoring them a little bit tighter than we are for somebody who has been established like CASA is. So that we can see exactly what they're spending their money on and have a little better documentation for the auditors for when that comes in.
Chris, on the ARP funds, we had, we jockeyed some things around with Hope House because they were going to carry over some funds. And when they presented, they said that they were going to provide, that they would have their annual statements as of October 31st, I think. And I believe they were going to provide some documentation, and I think we were going to do it to you.
Yes.
Did you get that?
Yes, I did get that.
Did that all look okay?
I would have to pull that up and look at.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that's something that slipped my mind.
Okay.
But yes, I did receive that from.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you got it.
I can pull that up here if you would like, or I can include it in communications in the next meeting, or.
Let's include it in the next.
Okay, that sounds good. We haven't had any updates with the audit, still scheduled to have our preliminary the second week in December, where they will return for the full audit starting right away in January. I have distributed the project list to various different departments where we usually get audited pretty heavily. Just to report that HR and drains, have gotten a really nice jump start to preparing for when the auditors will be here. As far as our MERS OPEB balance, the OPEB fund, as of the date of this report, was down 13%. The S&P was down 19.5%. The $150,000 deposit that was made is not included in this history report. That is because the address that we had on file for this financial institution changed to PO box number, so the check was originally returned to us. So we sent it back to them again, using the correct address, obviously. I just want to point out, this isn't showing up on there. That I did check today. And our deposit was made and it is shown in. Trying to battle Zoom while I'm talking. Okay, so this is just a snapshot of our online banking for the OPEB. And it shows our contributions at $150,000. So MERS did receive the contribution that was sent. You'll see the ending balance as of today was just under $2.1 million. Versus when I shot this, just under $1.9 million. At our next meeting, our MERS representative, Marty Daggett, is going to come and speak to the board on December 6th. I was wondering if anybody had any specific questions that you could send them to me and I could go ahead and forward them on to her. I told her typically the board is interested in the portfolio, what percentages of our pension and what an OPEB fund is invested in, what different types of investments. She will go over in detail also the pension fund actuary report to show you what percentage our pension fund is funded and such. This is an item that I went over or presented to the board a couple months ago, but if there's any other questions that you have about that, she'll go over that in detail with you. And I think that that is a very a good thing for MERS to do, because if we had open communication to the board about pension liability is extremely important. You know, you would never want staff not to communicate a pension liability to you, because in the long run, it could have severe consequences. To have it confirmed with our MERS representative coming in here is a very good idea. With me in office and with me out of office. So. We added a new department within the general fund. Anytime that we add a new department or a new fund, I want to present it to the board to make you aware of this. This new department is 725 broadband. It's been created to track our broadband activity. We had just received our first bill for the work that is going on with the contractor, which will run through this and is set up to receive and spend any federal or state grant funds also that we may get in the future, which it sounded like this company that we're contracting with is someone who will be looking for those funds for us. So we set that up and that's part of our regular reporting. Bring you to our October 2022 cash balances. Our general fund is sitting at approximately $9.5 million, up from 7.7 at the end of September. That represents the property tax collections, the general fund, the general obligation taxes that are coming into the county. Our COVID recovery is down due to spending, the projects. Nothing looked out of the ordinary. Typically, we see cash balances in the general fund go up more in September. This particular year, the cash increased, the collections happened in October. Give you a moment to review the check register.
Chris, did anything catch your eye?
The only thing out of the ordinary for the October check register is you're going to see a lot of bills from law firms. Because I believe October 12th, we require that all lawyers that did any work with the indigent defense program get their bills in, or they're not going to be reimbursed by the state grant. So the amount of money going out to lawyers is significantly higher in October.
Does anybody have any questions on the check register? We can go ahead to revenues and expenditures.
So for a revenue and expenditure report, we have our new budget amounts in there. So we're looking at just the first month of the year. You'll see right off the bat in the general fund there, the large amount of revenues that came in for the general fund. Now, those are the tax monies coming in, and these will be accrued back to the prior fiscal year. Any revenues that come in the new fiscal year that were billed in the prior or were due in the prior fiscal year will need to be moved back. And that is part of the treasurer's audit checklist. Starting October 1st, she creates a list of every receipt that comes in that needs to be accrued back. And the majority of this general fund money will need to be accrued back, applied to our previous fiscal year. Outside of that, I did not see anything that caught my eye. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Anybody have any questions?
Looks like we spent a big amount on the law library. Is that a single purchase?
Yes, the law library paid for a portion of the new
Court recording system.
recording system. They have, it's a special revenue fund that can only be spent on certain things, and this just so happened to be something that called. Any questions that would conclude my report to the board? I'll just say that while my report was short, that doesn't mean that things aren't really busy right now. And on cleaning up the books, getting ready for audit. So.
Apparently you don't.
What's that?
Apparently you don't hunt.
I do not. For most of all of my professional career, this has been the end of the fiscal year, so I've been needed other places.
It's the-
Last time I heard.
The last thing on here, the Michigan Justice Training Fund, is that accurate? Says budget 6,000 and then remaining in the budget 1.5 million.
No, that is not accurate.
I figured that one.
No, everything is off by, well, not everything. That page right there is off by one line.
Oh, that it should be up on drain bed. Yeah, it
70.
should be above. So is that a swap?
It didn't print right or something.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It come out of the computer, right?
So amount remaining in budget for 802 should be in 801.
That is correct.
Okay.
So what happened is if you go to 709. Broadband, that was added in there. I updated the formulas to update the initial total revenue and expenditures. But I didn't carry the formulas over. So the second column, that includes just the budget that was updated. I forgot to carry all of those formulas all the way over.
All right.
I have a question for you real quick. 16. It's in, on 368. Pension fund liability,
Yes,
2,000.
yes.
That's just for him, just for his office, or how does that work?
Pension fund liability,
Yeah.
that is to pay the pension fund.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Are you talking about the one, the bond that we took out that, what was it? 7.5, no, 6, that was that, okay.
All right. Any more questions on this?
Oh, wait, I've got you the wrong one. The bond I was thinking of was the bond we took out for MERS. That's not the one for MERS. This is just for, I don't think what you call it.
That money did go to MERS.
This money goes to MERS?
Well, the bond money went to MERS. This goes to pay back the bond.
Big down. Go.
All right. That's it for that. Chris? Thank you, sir. Are you ready to dazzle us, Terry?
I am, you're right.
I have submitted my usual reports. Investments. An update on that is I have forwarded all of the information to Mike at Meter, and he is working up an analysis. So when he gets that finished and gets back with me, then we will have him come back in front of the board.
Good.
So,
It would be nice if he could get here by next month.
well,
We could push him a little bit.
we'll push.
I'd like to have the board members that were present to take care of it.
Yep, I will. I would think that he would. I don't know what his schedule looks like, George, but I know that if he can, he will.
Tell him it's important that he does that.
Yes, I will do that. I don't know if anybody has noticed, but we have had a lot more transfers, bank transfers on the report than we used to have, and that is because district court is depositing with us on a daily basis now. So more transfers into their bond account are required. And as far as the revenues, those, we take those in, we disperse them out. There's not really a lot to explain regarding that. So does anybody have any questions?
Terry, I see one here where we're getting 4.85%. That's something new. What is?
That is, I had one that matured recently, so I had to put it somewhere, and that is the one change. I have been in contact with the banks regarding the CDs that we have there, but this was the only one that was an actual change.
And that's a 9-month CD?
Yes,
Okay.
it's not a CD. No, I'm sorry. It's not a CD.
The commitment for 9 months.
Yes.
Jan, you had a specific,
Yeah, I'd like to bring it to the floor that we have, sorry, I'm very forgetful to this evening. Lorna is here this evening. Lorna, what is your last name? Burkhart. Is here this evening on an issue. And basically, well, there's two issues. One is that she had asked me to bring up in the meeting here. This has, why don't you first explain why you're here this evening, and we can go on to the rest of the questions.
Well, it's an issue concerning.
The podium.
Yeah. If we should have her up at the podium so we can hear her. Sorry, that's where the mic is, and we are online.
It's an issue of the records of property taxes. I have tried to clear this matter up with the Treasury Department, with a couple individuals face to face, by mail, by fax, with receipts, with records. That shows that my property taxes are paid in full. Balance is, as of this year, September, the balance is zero. There is no taxes owed. I have worked diligently, trying to be patient, looking for understanding of why, when I present all this information, why it's being ignored. And it's kind of like you ask a question and people's like, we're not gonna, not interested, don't want to hear. And that just steamroll ahead. Been told that my property is to be posted and inspected. That was to be in September. Got this after the proof of records and statements that show there's no balance of taxes owed. I got this notice anyways. I read it and it said something about a title check company. So I sent a certified letter to them with the same information and made a request to this title check for an audit of the records so they could check for themselves, see that the balance is zero that's owed on the property taxes. I never got an answer back other than the card through the post office that they had to sign to show that they did receive it, that they are aware of it. I don't understand that part. I contacted the Treasury office again to let them know that I had requested an audit through this title check. And I hadn't heard back and was asking the reason why. And if I cannot, if nobody, you know what I mean, is going to do a check and a balance here on a situation that is in air on the Treasury office, I don't know what to do. And that Bonnie was one that I talked to. I was informed by Bonnie she could not talk to me. She could not answer my questions. She was not allowed to address it or give me any answers or questions concerning any of this. All she could do is directly send it over to Mrs. Ball. Mrs. Ball said I had told Bonnie she was the only one, Ball, that was the one to take and handle the matter. If there was any questions, any comments, any discussion, it was not to be with Bonnie or with anybody else. No one other than Terry Ball. Continue with her, just her personally. And I'm sure, even though I know she's not a person that's interested in optics, a few other things, I sent her the same information, the receipts that show that the balance is zero. And that I got a letter, not on a formal, everything else that had been mailed to me up to that point was on formal stationery. This was just a sheet of typing paper with very large typed out letters that just said, thank you for me sending the record. However, it didn't mean nothing. That was a paraphrase, that ain't the word. She used a particular word, but she still said, and she printed out, she didn't send me a copy of the records from the office, from the Treasury office, but she sent out a fresh printout, not a printout, but a printup, stating that I owed for 2020, 2021. Am I correct so far on all this information? You acknowledge everything that I say is correct?
No, I do not.
You didn't take and receive this and you didn't send me this statement?
Bonnie sent his statement.
Pardon me?
Bonnie sent his statement. Terry could stand up and respond.
So you had her send back the fax that I sent addressed to Bonnie. And that was slashed, her name was slashed out. And it was written, this needs to be addressed to me, Terry Ball. No? No? So I'm not gonna be able to produce this?
I don't know. Bonnie was the one you were corresponding with at that time, and Bonnie sent you the letter, and they.
So Bonnie slashed out her name and said, Bonnie's not the one to be addressing this,
Not that I'm aware.
not that you're aware of. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Ma'am,
It helps me a lot.
ma'am, did you bring a copy of the paid bill? You're saying that you have a copy of a
I do,
bill?
2 years.
I do.
Okay, yeah.
I had them both on.
So does legal counsel. I couldn't get an answer from title. As I said, I waited from September all the way up until well, I kept getting these intimidating notices and that with intimidating comments. And so it's like, okay, well, if the title company won't do no audit, I guess I have to get legal counsel on this matter.
Bring it all in and.
It's encouraging.
It all in and-
I want to thank you for your denials because it helps me.
What I'm wondering, Lorna, is.
So I think, yeah.
If I can.
Ma'am, would you be willing to bring in all the paper?
I finish first. I finish first.
Yep.
And that. In this last statement where she had mailed out, she just disregards this receipt. She had stated in this receipt that I owe for 2021. Okay, now let's pause and back up. Because that's the only one that states the year 2021. It started out with the year, only the year, that I had a back tax of 2019. Well, that receipt and record was straightened out because I had overpaid in August on my summer taxes in 19. And they issued a check of reimbursing the overpayment. And it wasn't until December that I get a letter and says, we sent you overpaid your property taxes, summer taxes of 2019 in August. And we sent you a letter in stating this. And we also issued a check reimbursing the overpayment, what was overpaid. However, as of December, and I can't remember the exact day, it says that records show that that check hasn't been cashed. Can you contact us about this? Did you lose it? Are you gonna cash it or what? Please contact me. And that. And when I pointed that out, both to Bonnie, before Bonnie was told she could no longer talk to me, I had to talk directly to her. Well, then it went from back tax of being unpaid for 2019. We're up to 2020 or previous. Previous means before. And then as the notices keeps getting sent from her, she goes 2021 is where I owe my taxes. How can you start saying you're gonna go into foreclosure because you didn't pay your taxes in 2019? And when you got proof, there's no way, to take and argue that one. Oh, well, now we're gonna say it's 20 to 21. How do you change? How you do that?
I don't think this is really anything that we can handle here as far as the administration of this.
I think you need to be aware
I think,
of a money issue, a money management issue. I mean, there's got to be guidelines for this.
I agree it does, but you've already.
I read in the paper where you went and I believe it was Mrs. Cordis that went and questioned her before your panel about her handling the money and the project, about how she spent money and how she paid her son-in-law. That she went outside of the guidelines and outside of the policy. You were concerned about that. You got involved, you played a part in it. And now all of a sudden, now you can't. Now you can't take and say, this calls for an audit. She can spend almost $20,000 inappropriately for cleaning and mowing, but now you don't want to hear it. That's interesting. There's nothing you can do again. Again, I have to say, thank you very kindly, because that helps my case.
ma'am, I think it would be helpful, our administrator, Tracy Cordis, would be willing to sit down with you if you could bring the paperwork in.
I have 30% loss.
I think it would be helpful. Our administrator, Tracy Cordis, said she would be willing to sit down with you if you bring all your paperwork in and see if we can resolve this issue you're talking about. Is that something we could do?
I don't know the legalities, the ins and the outs, and what you call optics and all that stuff. But my request is, well, it's a question that there would be a request to follow. If the probable cause hearing is in January, how can they take and post it and put it in the paper as a foreclosure listing before you've even arrived at any conclusion, whoever it is that looks at records, the proof, the evidence, how can you do that?
Well, I think any of us would need to look at the paperwork. Tracy's willing to do that with you.
It's like taking somebody to jail before you even have the evidence.
Well, you said a lot of,
Do that.
we have no paperwork to what you're bringing before us.
That's not my question. Isn't that the purpose of the probable cause hearing? Isn't it the probable cause hearing where I take and bring in my receipts, my records, my facts,
So are you
everything?
rather just take this to court? I mean, I don't know. We're trying to resolve it.
That's still, no, I hear him fine. He's not answering my question. For the third or fourth time, I'll ask the same direct question. As my understanding is the probable cause hearing. That's when I come in with my representative. That's when I come in with my records and my receipt and say, you don't have a probable cause for foreclosure because here's the records, here's the receipts, here's all the records of communicating with Mrs. Ball, with Bonnie, with the office, that I tried to clear up the matter. So I'm not wasting nobody's time, which means probably money. They're getting paid for something that don't have to be spent.
So, I mean, it sounds like that's where we can resolve this.
Isn't that where it's supposed to be dealt with?
It sounds like it, yes.
So the second half of the question is, how can you take and post and list it as an already done deal?
We don't do that. Would you do that?
It's a statutory timeline. We have to follow the timeline, and when something has to be posted in the foreclosure thing, it's statutory.
Well, I think about this, I think due to the fact that we've had another one of these, similar, not quite the same, I guess.
No, not at all.
Well, anyway, I think that we should probably, one of the things, Lorna, I would be glad to come with you on this or be a part of it. Lorna was just 2 blocks from me. I don't see how you could put that in the paper that you're gonna sell her house when there's a discussion or a problem that she says that this has been paid. Now, I don't know. I've not been that involved in it. When is the soonest that we could get together on this?
Do you plan on doing a retraction when at the probable cause hearing with all the records and receipts that show there is no taxes owed? Are you going to retract that in the paper? Because people read and say, oh, look, Lorna's property went into foreclosure. Then I'm going to get bombarded with all this humiliation. Not really. I'm just going to say, well, I apologize. If you would have read the article about the son-in-law and the no contract, or there was a contract, but no fees were discussed. And no budget on what we're going to pay for the dumpsters until the day that was done. And that, so no, I guess I'm not humiliated. But you're all saying, why is your property in the paper? And I'll say, well, hold your horses, because on January, this is where the probable cause hearing is, and it will get settled then. And then the whole public which has known many things about, how do I say this? Because people today like to be politically, use political speech, so no one's offended. Nobody's feelings gets hurt. The public is more aware of how optics mean nothing to some people that work for this county. For 4 generations, my family has been well aware of it and has been affected by it. 4 generations. And it's not just the citizens of my community or of this county, but we're talking about Midland County, Bay County, Saginaw County, Isabella County, Montcalm County, and beyond. I'm not trying to put egg on nobody. I'm trying to say, how do we take and discreetly get this resolved where we can nip this in the bud? I mean, the public is already, up in arms. Yeah, that's why we had such a high turnout of voters, because people are tired. It's like, we don't trust our local government anymore. And they hope that if they increase, that those that are voted in that's supposed to represent us in our best interest, as well as our liberty. That's why there's such a high turnout in that. But that's also why you got the Sons of Liberty and all these other grassroots coming up, saying we can't trust nobody in government. Somehow we've got to take control of our own counties. And it ain't working by voting people in that will work for us. I'm not a person to get involved in all that. That's not my purpose. That's not who I am.
Lorna, why don't we set up a date today? I'm just trying to think, can we wait till after the meeting? We'll sit down and figure a time to set a meeting up where you'll come, I'll come with you, and we'll meet here in the commissioner's room.
Okay, because I have high glucose and I have to eat.
Okay.
So I don't get in trouble. Nobody has to do CPR on me. I gotta go to the restaurant, get some food in me and that, because I'm already lightheaded and that.
You need a ride home or anything?
No, I'll just go to Bones or something and get some food in me and my medicine and that.
Lorna, this is what I'm gonna do. I will have to work tomorrow. I'm working every day this week. I'm gonna work tomorrow. I will call you probably 4:30. That gives me a chance to get out of work and get home. And I'll call you and you let me know when you get all your stuff put together. And I'll also talk with Terry and Tracy Cords here, our administrator, and we'll sit down, go through this and try to get this taken care of.
Okay, may I be excused to go to the restaurant? And like I said, I'm kind of lightheaded and I'd like to
Okay.
take care of my glucose.
I got a energy bar. You want my energy bar?
I have some wafers in my pocket that when I go outside and sit down, I'm gonna eat those wafers and I gotta wait so I can drive.
Yeah. Well, I think you should go, even if you sit right outside here where the officers are, sit down there and eat them before you leave if you don't want to sit through the meeting. Let me give you, I've got a high energy bar here. Let me give you this too. Yeah, that's a protein bar. That'll put some protein in. We'll give you this, you need some water.
I got some in the cup.
Okay. Take care of yourself. You take that, okay?
Oh, I will. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay.
And
You tomorrow at about 4:30. And if I can't, I'll text you, just in case I get hung up at school, but I should be able to talk to you tomorrow. And then we'll sit down, we'll figure a time when we can get together. But I want you to have all your paperwork and everything together. And,
I did.
you got it? Okay. Okay, well, maybe we can plan on it this week. Do we have a half a day for?
Yeah.
I'm all over. I'm Loose Road and so both. I have a half a day on Friday, so maybe Friday afternoon.
Alrighty,
Are you gonna be okay?
Yeah. Not here, only here to address to try to get understanding and clarification. And how to take and get this rectified
Okay.
in a legal manner.
Well, I have a couple of ideas and
Somebody that believes in integrity is part of the optics.
yeah, we have a couple ideas I'll share with our administrator and with our treasurer before we leave today. And then we'll get together, let's say, I'll call you tomorrow, but let's be looking at Friday this week. So we can kind of get this moving and it might be a couple of meetings that we have to sit down and talk to and go over stuff, okay?
Okay, because I'm not here to embarrass anybody, to offend anybody.
No. Another reason you need to know, Bonnie used to be a school teacher, the one you talked to. She was a school teacher at Loose Road. She has quit and just doing a part-time job here at the courthouse. So she's new at learning all this stuff. And that's where some of this, like, they don't want to say, well, she's real new and don't talk to her. I mean, she's learning, and that's probably why they told you that, to talk to Terry. She's the one that is the treasurer and has all the experience. And
Friday afternoon.
yeah, we'll cover all this with you on Friday.
all right. Sounds
Comes with experience. You don't get it without the experience.
Right. All right. Lorna, I'll talk to you tomorrow then. Are you gonna be okay?
Yeah, we have a motion to go back to the general meeting. George second.
Anyone?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Is that your cup on the floor too?
Go ahead, John, you can vote.
All those in favor, aye.
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
Opposed,
Lorna, he'll help.
motion carries. Second general.
Right there.
Thank you, Scott.
Alrighty, we're back in the regular meeting.
Move that we allow the expenditures.
Oh, yes, to support the financial report, motion by,
Don't we have to come back out of the?
we just did.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I missed that part.
All right, motion by Commissioner Bailey, second by Commissioner Lemmerman. To approve the bills. All those in favor, aye. Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. Any additional public comment? See anyone online, Matt?
No, I do not.
Chris, I have a question, but I will call you and ask you over the phone.
It's good.
I'll have to go Thursday because I've already made tomorrow promise.
All right,
So Thursday I'll call you.
so I believe we've exhausted our agenda. Without objection, we're adjourned.